our fellow Bleacher creatures out there. I'm Brian Mansell.
And I'm Katarina. Today marks our first episode of not only our brand new podcast, but also the first ever original podcast series sponsored by SFC Terrier TV.
It is, Kat, and we can't thank the crew at SFC Terrier TV anymore for making this possible. On today's episode, the NFL is now 5 weeks deep into the new season, and there have been many surprises and disappointments. We'll be giving our 2 cents on the Gruden situation and current MVP candidates.
The NWSL is in deep turmoil right now, and there looks to be no end in sight at this time. I'll be diving into the background on the situation and touching upon legendary soccer player Carli Lloyd's final game in Philadelphia.
The MLB postseason is 1 game away from the ALCS and LCS, but has it already ended before it started? Which teams have stood out for us, and who has fallen flatter on their face than humanly possible?
Now, grab some popcorn, get comfortable, and enjoy some good old Bleacher Banter.
How are we doing today, Kat?
I'm doing good. How are you, Brian? It's our first podcast.
Oh, yes. I've been waiting for this day for this podcast, and I'm so glad it's finally here. You know, we've been looking for a long time to do a podcast. The fact that it's finally here, thanks to Terrier TV, it's unbelievable. And I'm just excited we finally get to take this sports talk that we usually have every day and just put it out there for everybody to hear.
I can't agree with you more. I'm so thankful for everybody here at SFC Terrier TV who's making this possible. And just to sit here and talk about sports all day and have it recorded instead of just us bantering on. See what I did there? Banter.
It's kind of funny. But I think the big thing here is that we are ready to talk about, all the different sports. And what I mean by that is we don't just talk about, what everybody else talks about. Everybody talks about the NFL. They talk about the NBA. They talk about the NHL. They talk about the MLB. The 4 major sports, sometimes even soccer. But again, that's more outside the U.S. and in the U.S., don't ask me why. But for this show, it's going to be much different. For this show, we're going to cover every sport that's having a big event occur. Whether that be MMA, whether it be men and women's tennis, whether it be golf, heck, it could be a cricket match. It doesn't matter what it is, we will cover it. And that is something that I don't think we've ever done here before, whether it be as a podcast form or even with Terrier TV when they would do the live broadcasts.
You know what? I think the most interesting thing that you just said is that you watch cricket. So I think that's what our fans need to know, how much of a cricket fan you actually are. And yes, we will cover a cricket tournament if it happens.
Yeah, please do not challenge that knowledge. I don't think anybody's ready for that. For today, we're going to talk about really quickly the NFL. So let's jump into our first topic here. The NFL in the first 5 weeks. I've never seen it get this rogue. It's been unhinged.
Yep.
Again, this is what happens when people go to new teams. When you're coming out of a pandemic and you're finally back to normal, in a sense. These first 5 weeks have surprised me. There have been a lot of teams that have come out and done amazingly well that really we didn't expect. And there's also teams that just fell flat on their face. They haven't done much, and frankly, they're not playing well at all. So I think the first thing we want to talk about here is Geno Smith. And why I'm saying Geno Smith's name specifically is because I want to talk about Seahawk down. Yes, I just said it, Seahawk down. The Seattle Seahawks are struggling.
Yes, they are.
And right now, they don't have Russell Wilson anymore. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson's going to be out for a little bit with an injury. So that means Geno Smith will have to start for the first time in 4 years?
Yes, 4 years.
It must be about 4 years now. So Geno Smith is now going to be the starting quarterback for Seattle. How do you think Seattle's going to manage that?
Obviously, I saw the injury at Russell Wilson. Obviously, wishing him luck on his recovery. Because, yes, he is a quarterback, but he's also somebody that you're get well soon. That's what we want. Geno Smith having to step up. I did not expect this in week 5 of the NFL, especially with the Seahawks. I'm very interested as to what is going to happen. He hasn't played for some time. He hasn't been a starting quarterback. How is that going to work for the Seahawks? Because they have this amazing system with Russell Wilson. So how is Geno Smith going to come in and be that quarterback they need?
That's a very good point. We haven't seen Geno play in a long time, especially consistent level. And for me, I don't know if I can just base how he's going to play based on what happened when he filled in for Russ against the Rams. Because as we've known, especially with the tale of Mark Sanchez and the New York Jets, there's no way to know if he's going to be consistent or if he's going to play like hot garbage. It's just the way it is. Yeah. I think it's more important to state the fact that Geno Smith did play well. And they did have injured players. But that doesn't negate the fact that the Seahawks have a lot of work to do. And this is the first time they've ever had to deal with a situation where Russell Wilson can't play quarterback. He has been healthy the majority of his career. This is the first time he's not starting a game ever in his career.
That is very
This
true.
is the first time he's not starting. And this is actually a scary stat to think about, because now the Seattle is being dealt a situation they've never experienced. How are you going to manage a team without a quarterback who has brought you to 2 Super Bowls, won one, and at the same time has been the focal point of your entire system over the last decade? How are you going to manage that, and how are you going to try to at least bandage it with Geno? And I think it could work, depending on their schedule. But honestly, I see maybe 2 games while he's gone. I think 2 games right now, because this is Geno Smith we're talking about. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Geno is going to get 2 games, I think. And if he's out for, 6 weeks? He's going to try to get back earlier. I have doubts about it. 6 weeks. I see 2 wins in the forecast. Probably, maybe less, maybe more. Who knows? This is the NFL. We've seen crazy stuff happen. Like, for example, let's get a little bit of normalcy here. The Lions are 0-5.
Yes.
There's some normalcy for you
All
people.
right. But let's hold on before you go off on your tangent about the Lions, because I know you are. Can we just take a fact that Matthew Stafford left the Lions, and now you got Jared Goff, when he was with the Rams, he was having a good season. He was able to go to a Super Bowl. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but he made it to a Super Bowl. How do you go from that to now where he is with the Lions, and you have Matthew Stafford, who's having one of the best seasons of his career, to be quite frank? And what the Rams are producing, compare, and to think about his old team, the Lions, how they are playing 0-5, it's quite sad. And it honestly, yes, the Lions do not perform top level, but I don't know, will they ever win a game, to be quite honest, this season, with their schedule?
They'll win a game. They eventually will. Again, this is Detroit we're talking about, but I think the more important story here, not more important, because Stafford is a great QB, and he's doing a great job in LA, possibly an MVP candidate. But I think the bigger story here is that Detroit's not the worst team in the NFL.
Oh, no.
They have the worst record in the NFL, don't get me wrong. 0-5 is horrible. But look at the games they've played. A majority of them were really close and came down to the wire, including the last 2 weeks. They should have beat the Ravens. That's just bad luck. Justin Tucker kicks a 66-yard field goal off the crossbar and in as time expires. Sets an NFL record. You can't get any more unlucky than that.
They are having unlucky spells. I agree with you. It is unlucky spells. But to be quite honest with you, yeah, you're right. They're not the worst team in the NFL. I believe comparing the Jacksonville Jaguars, let's say, they are also with the 0-5 record. But comparing them to how the Lions have played, the Lions have come down to the wire. Jacksonville has not been like that this season. I would even put in the New York Jets in that situation, although they have won a game. But comparing their system, their offense, how they're doing, the New York Jets compared to the Lions, I believe they are, I won't want to say worse, but they are performing less than the Lions in that sense.
That I will give you. I think what they're trying to figure stuff out in New York right now, and even though they have 1 win to the Tennessee Titans, really, that says more about the Titans than the Jets. It's more you can see that Dan Campbell is trying to build a system here, and this is the only way I could put it for everybody. And it's the most simple way I could put it. Dan Campbell is trying to win football games with one of the worst rosters I've ever seen. Look, I like DeAndre Swift, but he's an unproven running back. They've got no wide receiver core whatsoever. Don't even try to tell me Quintez Cephas is an answer. Don't tell me he's an answer at wide receiver right now. I would rather take Amon or St. Brown. Even beyond that, the defense is even struggling. The offensive line's trying to hold itself up, but the only person they got good on that line is injured, and that's Frank Ragnow. And again, you still got the rookie Penei Sewell still working through some kinks. But it doesn't explained the fact that Detroit came back and should have beat the Vikings.
Yep.
19-17 was the final score. They should have won that game. They should have beaten the Ravens. They're playing really close games against good teams. Because again, as much as people give a lot of flack to the Vikings, the Vikings are still not a bad team. Kirk Cousins isn't that bad of a quarterback. And on top of that, the Ravens. Lamar Jackson just threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football against the Colts in a comeback win. Best game of his career. You can't sit here and tell me that they're not playing good teams. The fact that they're competing against them tells me they're not the worst team. And I think that's the most important point to state with that.
I have to agree with you. They're not the worst team in the NFL. They are playing against high-level teams and coming close. They're just losing at the last wire. So, yes, I have to agree. They're not the worst because they are performing quite well against very good teams.
And I think Dan Campbell is a good coach. It's just going to take some time to get this team to where they want to be. I see 2 or 3 wins. They're not going to be a great team. I mean, they are fighting like hell, and I give them a lot of credit for it. But they are not a great team, but they're a decent team. And they're not getting enough credit. The record does not reflect it. Another one we're going to go into, another quick part involving the NFL. These last 5 weeks, people have some high expectations here. And also, some teams have fallen short of those expectations or have not played well. So, quick point here. Who's living up to expectations in your mind? One team. Who's living up to the expectations?
The Buffalo Bills. They are living up, definitely. They are Super Bowl qualifying team. They could go all the way. Comparing how the AFC is doing, people going into this season thought it would be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bills to go in the AFC championship game. Not anymore. The way the Buffalo Bills are playing. Let's go to their Houston game. 40-0. That was college level football games. You are seeing Josh Allen do the unexpected. People are talking about his arm. Yes, his arm is great. He's one of the best arms in the NFL. I agree. But let's go to that Kansas City Chiefs Sunday night game when he hurdled. And he showed the NFL, yeah, I have a strong arm, but look, I could do this too. And you have Stephon Diggs on that team, who we know he is wanting revenge. He wants a Super Bowl ring. Buffalo has the energy. They are the best team in New York. They are the team that I believe they are living up to my expectations this year.
I agree. Actually, I think so too. I agree with the AFC. I think they're the team to beat. Chiefs have had their fall from grace. We won't go into that because I think everybody's covered it. And I think you as a Chiefs fan really don't want to go into that because it's a very touchy subject because I don't think you feel it's true to an extent.
No, they have fallen. I will agree. They have. If you're playing two years, playing high level quality, going to the Super Bowl, both 2 years back to back, it kind of makes sense that this year isn't their strong year. And I believe they've been in the NFL playing this rotation, playing that we know, okay, Mahomes is just going to throw Kelsey, Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We know this. We're seeing this, and other teams are catching on. They need to change their formation. They need to do something different.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if it's the offense really costing. I think it's more defense. But I think the more important, I think we want to keep going here.
Yeah.
Team that's living up to my expectation here. This is something I've thought about for a while. Which team has really met the hype? And honestly, I think the team that met the hype was the Rams. The Rams have really met the hype to an extent. I mean, yes, they had a tough week against Arizona. And again, that's expected. You're going to have those tough games. But the fact is, they're still playing very well in their division. Despite the fact, it's a very competitive division. Don't let those records reflect how good those teams are. The Rams are 4-1. That's a really good record. Who thought a QB was the answer? All they did was lose to an, undefeated team in Arizona. So that record doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Los Angeles has lived up to the expectations so far. They look like a real tough competitors in the NFC this year. I will say that. I mean, again, you got the division. You got the 2-3 Seahawks and 49ers, but they're not all that terrible. They really aren't. They're not Super Bowl level teams. But they're also not bad teams. You play them, you're going to get surprised and you're going to get beat. And that's going to happen. But again, the team that lived up to my expectation was the LA Rams. Stafford's doing his thing. The running game's doing his thing despite losing Cam Akers. The defense is playing as best as it can. And the wide receivers are going off. I mean, Cooper Kupp, man, what the heck? But I will say, who do you think falls short? You know, we had these expectations for these teams this year, and they're just not meeting them yet.
That's a great question. To me, the team that stands out is the New York Giants.
Ooh, the 1-4 Giants.
The
Why?
1-4 Giants. I know. I really threw a curveball at you there. But I'll be honest. Their offensive line going into this season, I said this could be it. Daniel Jones is no longer the starting out QB. He has his experience. Saquon Barkley is coming back from an injury, but we'll get into that later. And we have Kenny Golladay joining in on this offense. And I thought this could be it. This could be what New York fans are waiting for, having the Giants not have a losing record, although they are 1-4. They at least won a game early, I'm saying. And they won a great game.
Yeah.
That was a great game against the Saints. Coming down to overtime, it was great. But the Giants at the beginning of the season were losing in ways you got to say, come on, man. At some point, really? That field goal against Washington football team? He missed it. And what happens? Come on.
I get it. You know, the Giants, a lot of Giants fans told me they had high expectations for this team this year. My answer was you were out of your mind, and I think it's finally coming out to prove that. Because, again, I'm a very honest person. The Giants were not a good team this year, and neither were the Jets. Y'all put yourselves in that situation, put it in your head you were going to be a good team. You really weren't. And it happens every year. You've been doing that since Super Bowl 46. Let's just get over that, move forward, and be more honest about your team. But for me, who falls short? Honestly, there's a lot of teams I could choose here, surprisingly. But I want to pick a team a lot of people really haven't thought about yet. I'm going to go Washington.
Washington?
I'm going to go Washington. I think I'm going to say Washington because, you know, I understand that you don't have your starting QB, that Fitzpatrick got hurt. And I actually could argue that if Fitzpatrick was starting, they could be tied at first for this division at 4-1. Taylor Heineke's not as good as people think, as they've hyped him up to be. And I'm going to keep standing on that point. He had one amazing game that he fought hard against the Buccaneers in a wildcard game. But did they win? They lost. So it doesn't matter how hard the kid fights. It's about can you win the football game. And at the end of the day, you're either a person that can win a football game or put up good numbers but never win. And right now, Heineke is what's becoming. He's becoming the second one to me. He's becoming this guy that he can put up the good numbers, he can put up some good plays, but he's just not going to match that level. And even more of a big story, the defense. Yep. The defense is one of the worst in the NFL.
I agree.
And for that reason, I came into this season thinking the Washington defense was going to be a top 5 defense this year.
You did?
I was confident.
Really?
I thought the pass rush was the best in the NFL. What happened? They're not getting any pressure. They can't cover for the life of them. And now they're on the borderline of being in third place in the division if Philly beats the Buccaneers Thursday night. This is a team I was very high on. I saw this team being a 10-7, 11-6 squad, and this is what happens. It's disappointing.
You made great points about Washington. I agree with you. Losing Fitzpatrick was big for the Washington football team. And yet Tyler Heineke, he made us all look at him during that wild card game last season. But I have to agree with you. Yes, he's a great QB. We're seeing things, but is he winning a game? And he's not. So going to that wire, I agree with you. And the Washington is a disappointing factor of what has happened this season.
I can absolutely agree with you on that. And to make it really quick, to wrap up the football segment here, MVP favorites. Who are your MVP favorites here?
I got 3.
Let's go with 1, because we don't have much time.
My goodness. Josh Allen.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Let's just go over his game last week. 374 yards, 4 touchdowns, arm of steel. This is his year. This is a year for his quarterback ability. This is a year where he is going to be MVP. It's written in stone for him. If he doesn't win MVP, he will win Super Bowl MVP. That's my predictions for this year for Josh Allen.
Okay. I think it's a very strong prediction right now. I've looked at every single angle for this, and I've been trying to figure out what's the right way to approach it. Who is the MVP? Who's the outspoken MVP? And all I have to say is the one thing that's going to piss you off. Because you are an avid Chiefs fan, and I'm going to let y'all know I'm a lifelong Buccaneers fan since the Jeff Garcia days. So we already got some deep hatred there. So I'm obviously going to say something. And again, I'm trying not to be biased here. I'm going to say Tom Brady.
You're out of your mind.
The man is...
No.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
The man is 44 years old. He's on pace to put up 6,000 yards this season. Do you understand how insane 6,000 yards is in general? And then on top of that, 44 years old. That's unheard of. He's also got 15 touchdowns on the year and 2 interceptions. 2. And they're 4-1. It doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, when he loses games, it's not really him. It's more of the defense that cost him by giving up too many big plays. So they're 4-1, sitting there with a QB who's playing at an MVP level at 44 years old. He's going for his 4th MVP, and honestly, if he keeps this streak up, he should get it.
No. You made a point. Yes, he's 44 years old. Yes, he has 7 rings. Yes. Okay, you can't deny it. That is what he has.
I didn't say 7 rings.
He has 7 rings. I'm aware of his rings. Okay? But he's 44 years old. There are a bunch of young QBs in this league right now who are making a name for themselves, who are going to try to reach the Super Bowl, who are trying to make a name out of their teams. You have people like Herbert. You have Kyler Murray, Allen, young guys who are going to be in this league for a very long time. And if Tom Brady were to win MVP, I don't believe it will be shining a light on QBs who are honestly changing the league as we speak.
Now, I get that. And I completely agree with you on that standpoint. Because my second pick would be Kyler Murray, because he's having an insane year, and that should not be overlooked. But I'm just stating the fact that I'm big on numbers, and I'm big on results. If you get and balance in the two, and they're both at a really high balance level, of course, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You know, Kyler Murray's stats are really up there too. So right now, for me, it's between Tom Brady and Kyler Murray for the MVP.
Okay.
I may lean more towards Kyler because Brady has 3, but I really personally would put Brady there because of just how well he's played. But again, you have a great point. This is it's the young guys league now, but you cannot overlook the fact that an old man at this age is playing this well. It's unprecedented.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now.
I agree.
It'll be talked about all season long.
More than likely. And so I'm going to leave it with one last topic. We're going to make this very quick because I think we all feel the same way about it. Jon Gruden.
Disgusted.
What have you done?
Not even what have you done. I think it's absolutely disgusting. What he has said about so many people, what he said about women, what he said about women in the field, what he said about his homophobia, racism, he couldn't have been in this league anymore. He doesn't deserve to be a coach after what he said, especially since he has on his team the first openly gay active player. And to hear the words that he said, having somebody on your team, you're not showing being a coach and being a leader and accepting all your guys on your team. So no, he does not deserve to be a coach. I'm glad that he is no longer with the Raiders.
And I'm going to concur. I can't put it any better than the way that Katarina just did. I'm not even going to lie. I wish I could. She summed it up best. You know, we have standards in this league. And basic standard is be a good human being. And if you're not a good person, you probably shouldn't be in this league because the players are going to expose you and you're going to get found out one way or another. So good riddance, Jon Gruden. And that's all. There's nothing else I can say. But moving forward, that's going to conclude the NFL talk. So let's transition over now to Roundup. For those who don't know, Roundup is a new segment we're trying out here where for those sports we can't cover today in depth, we're going to do a quick run over, 30 seconds, of the top story. So we have stories from every league you could think of. NBA, NHL, WNBA, English Premier League even. We've got stories from there, and we're going to talk about it in 30 seconds each. So today we've got 6 stories for you. 30 seconds, 3 minutes. I think we could do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take turns on it. I'll start, you follow, and we'll make it happen. Ready?
Okay.
We got the timer set. Oh, wait, where's the timer?
There's no timer. All right, there's going to be no timer, but
just imagine, just imagine there's a timer, okay? Imagination. So, on the count of 3, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, start your timer. For the NBA, Kyrie Irving will miss time unless he gets the first dose for the Brooklyn Nets. It's a very unfortunate situation. You know, the Brooklyn Nets have been wanting Kyrie to play for a long time. They paid him all this money, and now he can't play because he's not vaccinated. He's holding out not because he is anti-vax, but because he feels that individuals should not lose their jobs because they are mandated to get a vaccine.
The NHL lightning slap by Crosby-less Penguins. Kerrigan loses inaugural game 4-3 to Vegas.
Yes, the Lightning lost to the Penguins very handedly, and the Kraken quite embarrassing. And the Kraken, man, wow, what a rough way to lose that first game.
My God.
By 1 goal. In NCAA football, Alabama goes down, Texas A&M knocks them out, and for that, the Georgia Bulldogs are back on top of the AP poll at number 1 in the nation, followed by Iowa? There's a lot of things here to unpack, but fortunately we don't have time for that today.
Not today.
But still something to note.
Yeah.
UGA back on top.
Bulldogs. WNBA, the Sky takes game 1 of finals despite Mercury's tri-combo in 52. My goodness, we have goats against goats going against each other. Jesus. Candace Parker? Diana Taurasi? How better can that get as a final game?
Don't even forget the stars that are coming out there. Skylar Diggins-Smith and Brittany Griner, too. Unbelievable. Oh. This is one of the best finals we're probably going to see from the WNBA ever.
This is the best finals, period.
In boxing, down goes Wilder. Tyson Fury in his 3rd rematch against Deontay Wilder, going back and forth, and personally one of the best boxing matches I've ever seen.
It was amazing.
In 11 rounds, takes down Wilder by knockout. Unbelievable. I mean, I haven't seen something this good since Tyson was fighting.
Honestly, that was a great game. It was all over Twitter. Everybody was losing their minds about it. I think it was one of the most watched boxing games.
Absolutely.
Now, to my boys, Chelsea Football Club are holding strong at the top of the board with a big victory over Southam on Saturday. Chelsea is on top. Chelsea could win it. They are returning Champions League champions, and they will take the Premier League title this season.
Let's hear what Ronaldo has to say about that with Manchester United, who is struggling, but hopefully will figure things out soon.
You will not figure it out soon.
Don't count on it. And so that is going to conclude a roundup. I think we definitely did it under 3 minutes, don't you think?
I think we did. That feels like we did.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to unpack. But again, any questions you have about any of that, feel free to research it. Go look it up on ESPN, Bleacher Report, wherever you got to look, because honestly, we don't have time for that today. Unfortunately. So sorry.
Now, I'm going to dive into the NWSL shambles, to be quite honest. So, several athletes accused Paul Riley, coach of NC Courage, of sexual coercion. He was accused of inappropriate comments and actions on sexual orientation of players. He has been fired. The commissioner of the league, Lisa Baird, has resigned, and the CEO of Washington Spirit, Steve Baldwin, has stepped down. It's been something that's been shaking up the Women's Soccer League. It's something that's come forward, and quite frankly, the saddest part about this, it's 6 years women were coming forward talking about this. 6 years of trying to get this man out of his position, stop him from doing what he was doing, and the league just was not listening. And now they are. When the news broke out in the Athletic Report, the games were suspended that weekend. And when they came back at the 6-minute mark of the game, both teams came to the center of the pitch, and they all stood, arms embraced, to show courage, to show that they are supporting these women who are coming forward. And the 6 minutes resembles the 6 years of silence. And there's a quote in the article that came out accusing Paul Riley, and I believe it really stands out. It says, women's sports traditionally have been built by men and are also trying to use the structures of men's sports, and that leads to failures in the system. I believe that's exactly what it is. It's failure in the system. We need to protect our female athletes. We need to show them the respect that they deserve. We need to put time and attention into female sports. And what happened with Riley is absolutely disgusting. It is something that the league needs to fix, and we need more female representatives as well. Why is there a male head coach in a female league? They are also discussing. We need more female representatives, women of color, women from different backgrounds. And I believe this is going to cause a change in the NWSL, and it has. The Champions game that was supposed to be taking place in Portland has been moved. The Players Association and the NWSL have made progress, and they have requested that the championship goes to Louisville. And they said, we realize this is going to be a delay for people who may have bought tickets in Portland, but they believe it's the right thing to do. And this game is going to be broadcasted on CBS, which is also a tremendous step forward into recognizing women's sports. If it's on CBS, and after everything that has come through, I think there are going to be a lot of fans tuning into these games.
I don't think I could have put it any better. Again, this is something that has been going on for a long time. And I think the worst part about this is, this isn't just players. These aren't just athletes. These are human beings. And and the amount of disrespect they're receiving and just pretty much neglect they faced over the last 6 years is horrible. I mean, I don't think there's really any words you could put to describe the pain they must have went through. Sitting there hoping they'd get answers and it wasn't coming. They weren't getting answers, and no action has been taken for 6 years until finally, in the last, what is it now, week or two?
Yeah, it's only been a week and a half, to be quite honest. Yeah.
In a week and a half, there was a tipping point, and it caused fallouts. Commissioner literally resigned. It's unheard of to have a commissioner resign very sudden like that. And that just tells you how deep this must go. And for me, I'm just curious how this is going to affect the games moving forward. But more of, the strength of that 6-minute pause. That 6-minute pause meant so much.
Yeah.
I only wish I could understand even close to what they were going through this. The players that were affected, the personnel that were affected. I just think it's a lot to process and a lot to unpack. And frankly, it's going to take a lot of time for NWSL to settle this, to figure this out and get back on track and become more focused on promoting their women athletes rather than keeping them down.
Yep.
And hopefully, starting soon, this will change and they can help get these athletes back to the top of their game and promoted like they should because they deserve it.
Yep. I believe you ended it perfectly. Now to some other news. Carli Lloyd, legendary United States women's player, 2-time World Cup champion, 2-time gold medalist, 2-time FIFA Player of the Year, is going to retire. She's 39 years old. She's played at the best every single year. I feel Carli Lloyd just kept getting better and better and better. And she is going to retire. She is going to play her final games with the United States women's national team on October 26 against South Korea, and her final game with Gotham Football Club on October 31st. As somebody who grew up loving Carli Lloyd, somebody who is inspired by Carli Lloyd, seeing her end her career is, quite frankly, so sad to me. And she has been an inspiration on and off the pitch. What she has done for equal pay, what she has done for women in the sport, is never going to be unrecognized. She is Hall of Fame player. We know she will be inducted. She is definitely somebody to look up to. And she discussed why she's retiring. And I believe it's also another great point about female athletes. Is she said Tom Brady doesn't have to have kids. Tom Brady is playing at the top of his league, as we just discussed. And Carli Lloyd is as well. But for a female athlete, starting a family causes her to stop her career. And it really puts that into perspective after what did we just talk about, female athletes. And Carli Lloyd finishing a part of her life to start a new part of her life. It is beautiful. And obviously we're going to miss her on the pitch.
Again, Carli Lloyd is a phenomenal player. She literally has defined what U.S. women's national soccer has meant to America. Not only America, but even worldwide. This is a team that was dominant for so long. Still is remotely.
Yes, they are.
And, the fact that you're losing your legends a little bit at a time it's kind of tough. It's tough to watch it happen, And, for me, I really liked watching, growing up, I really liked watching Abby Wambach.
Yeah.
And when she retired, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was big. And Carli Lloyd is part of the big three, and it was Carli, Alex Morgan, and Megan Rapinoe. Those are your three top. They were three captains for a reason, because those were the three women who represented this country, who wore that badge. And to see one of the three go, it also hits the reality that the other two will follow soon along.
Yeah. I mean, I think the day Alex Morgan retires is the day I don't know what I'll do. And, that women's national team, she's meant a lot to that team, too. all three of them did. But for me, I always had a special spot for Alex Morgan because she was always such a great goal scorer. I don't even know how else to put it. She just, the way she would move on the field is just different compared to every other female athlete I would see on the pitch. It's just, this is just another moment where you're starting to realize you're getting older and you're growing up. It's like, it really hurts to see it happen. But it's like showing that time goes on and that we have to move forward.
And there will be a new generation to come. So we'll see who's coming up for the U.S. women's national team.
And I'm looking forward to that. We have one more topic. The topic we have is one that a lot of baseball fans have been watching. Yes, you guys heard it. It's baseball. MLB postseason. Yes, the postseason is underway. We got one game left in the ALDS, NLDS matchups. Mainly NLDS, Dodgers, Giants, Game 5. That's going to be really good.
Ooh.
But there's been a lot of stories that have been coming out about this postseason. And frankly, the way that some of these teams are playing, do we even bother trying to give any of the teams hope? Because we do have a couple that have been standing out. So, let's just give a quick recap for, the wild card and ALDS, NLDS.
Oh, my Yanks. Look, to lose the wild card game is disappointing, right?
Yeah.
But to lose it to the Boston Red Sox is another factor of disappointment. It was honestly horrific. Horrific. We thought Giancarlo Stanton got a home run. Then the Green Monster said, not today. And there it goes. From there, it was downhill. Then when Aaron Judge was on third base and decides to run home, why did we do that? Why did we do that? It's disappointing.
You got to blame Nevins on that one.
Oh, yes. And honestly, Aaron Boone deserves also some blame. Aaron Boone should not be with the Yankees next season. He shouldn't. How he has performed. The Yankees have not won a World Series in 10 years.
Yeah. That's rough.
That is rough. This could have been the year. I mean, the Yankees have had a roller coaster of a season. But to lose the way they lost was disgraceful. That's all I'm saying about that.
I think you pretty much summed it up perfectly. I can't go much farther than that. You hit it on the head. But I think more of what I'm focused on is, again, the Yankees played horribly. But for the rest of the playoffs, you got to look at this other stuff too. The Cardinals had that amazing winning streak, and then they come in the wild card and they get trounced by the Dodgers. That's insane. Not trounced. It came down to a walk-off practically. So they played a good game, but just to lose to the Dodgers, it's got to be heartbreaking. And moving forward, with the ALDS, NLDS here, the Rays lost to the Red Sox. I got no words for that.
You shouldn't have any words for that. That was horrible too. You were predicting the Rays to win the World Series.
They looked like the best team in the American League this year, and they got beaten 4 games to Boston. I'll never understand it. And I think another thing that shocked me was, it shouldn't have shocked me. Houston beat Chicago. I don't know why it shocked me.
That shouldn't have shocked me.
Because Houston had their number all year, but I was just hoping that finally Chicago can get over the hump and beat a good team and then make the World Series. I was kind of hoping for it, but it never happened, and I don't know why I ever got my hopes up. And in the National League, the Atlanta Braves knocked off the Brewers in 4 games, and will now be going on to the NLCS to take on the winner of the Giants-Dodgers. Either way, whoever wins that series, they're going to have a hard time with Atlanta, man. They have a very hard time.
Atlanta is looking like a team to beat. I have predictions for Atlanta to go all the way.
You think they're going to win the whole thing?
I think they could win the whole thing. I think this will really, honestly shock the world, them winning. And they almost, last season, they played well too. I believe they could do it.
Even without Soroka and, of course, their big star in the outfield.
Yeah, I believe they could. That's going to be my wild pick.
Okay. I get why the pick is there. And now, knowing who's out and who's in, I actually kind of wish that Atlanta would win this thing. But I think we got to really start moving up here, The most disappointing team, I think you already hit it on the head. It's the Yankees. The Yankees. Come on now. I can't even pick another team because I'm very pissed off about this. The New York Yankees, it's time to go on rant time. We might need to set an alarm for this one. Okay, let's just get the siren rolling. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to get really Brooklyn for this. The New York Yankees. How am I going to explain to you one more time that Boone is brain dead? That Boone is brain dead. I look at the pitching staff. We have some good pitchers in there. We got Jamo. Got to work on his mechanics a little bit, but he's still a good pitcher. You've got Luis Severino come back off injury now. You have young stars in Nestor Cortez and Luis Hill. These are good pitchers, good pitching staff. I mean, forget Kluber and Andrew Heaney. They're free agents. I don't care anymore. But you have all this pitching help and all this great talent that's going to waste because you're making bad decisions.
Yep.
And then we move forward onto the batting. Oh my gosh. Get Gary Sanchez out of New York. Please, for the love of God, get him out. That's all I have to say about that. Moving forward, I've got no problems with DJ. DJ's just got to work on his hit a little bit more.
Yep.
I got no problems with Gio. Gleyber Torres. If I see that man at shortstop next season, Boone, I will be in your face. In the outfield, let's make this very clear. Judges need to stay in the outfield 24/7. I really like the duo. I love it. Joey Gallo. Can we trade him, please?
I don't think so. No, keep Joey. Keep Joey.
Why keep Joey?
He needs time. He just got traded. He's just started with the Yankees.
He just had the worst numbers of his career the second he got traded to New York.
I think we gotta keep Joey. Not yet. Not yet. I'm gonna give him a chance. I know you're very mad about how they perform, and you don't want to give anybody else a chance anymore.
You have to understand. I want to send everybody out. I want
They got a clean house.
I want the entire front office cleaned. I want the Steinbrenners out.
No. Okay, come on.
No.
I want the
Steinbrenners out.
Too far.
I want Steinbrenners out.
No. You gotta keep the Steinbrenners. Are you kidding me? The New York Yankees without the Steinbrenners? That doesn't make sense.
This team has not been the same since George was alive, and that is a fact.
No, I agree. Some of the things that happened, George Steinbrenner would never have let it happen. Yes. But you cannot let the Steinbrenners leave New York, because I don't trust anybody to love the Yankees and appreciate the Yankees more than the Steinbrenner family. And you cannot argue with that.
I can't argue that. You're correct with that. I've never seen... The owners have given a lot. But what's unfortunate is that the bloodline does not carry over after George. That's all I gotta say. I can't criticize more than I have. What else can I really say? Or all this Chapman should be shot to the moon? I mean, what else you want me to say? This team had such high expectations. They were favorites to go to the World Series this year.
Yep.
They were the favorites in the offseason to make the World Series.
They didn't even get past wild card.
They couldn't even get past the Boston Red Sox, who, again...
They're actually my most surprising.
I agree with that. I'm not going to... I'm not going to pick them.
No,
but I'm going to be very fair with you.
They are surprising.
I cannot believe that Boston has done what they've done. And I think this is where I'm going to have to transition off of New York before I ruin any other job opportunities in the future. Sorry, Yankees. I love you. But for the most surprising... I'm going to jump on this real quick before I give you the Red Sox. I'm going to say here the most surprising team to me is definitely, I got to say, Atlanta. And I think the only reason I can go with Atlanta is because they've dealt with so much bad luck this year. A lot of guys got hurt that shouldn't have got hurt. They were out for the year. They were stars. They've been key in making the offense work and being those big in the rotation, especially Soroka. And just to see them thrive and be able to go in there with Ozzie Albies leading the way with Freddie Freeman and just knocking down the doors of every single team they're playing, it's inspiring, You lose so many good guys because of injury, and most teams will just give up. This season's just going to be a rebuild year. We're not going to care. We'll just get some bigger draft picks. No. You keep competing. That's how it works. And that's what they did. And honestly, all credit to the Atlanta Braves, man. I don't know what else to say. They've played out of their minds. They've impressed me, and I really hope they win it all this year.
They're the unicorn in this situation. They're the unicorn team. Most surprising, I'm going to have to say Boston. I don't feel like getting into it, but I have to.
It's painful.
It's painful. They're playing great. I can't believe it's going to Boston and Houston. Let's get that as Yankee fans. Who are you going for? Do you know who I'm going for? The umpires. I'm going for the umpires.
This feels like 2018 all over again.
Don't even.
I hate going there, but this feels like 2018. You know, Boston and the Dodgers in the World Series. And last time that happened, Boston won another World Series. And let me tell you, I think this Boston team looks better than the 2018 team.
You're right.
They do look better.
They do. You know,
And
I can't
it's
talk
impressive.
about, we can't talk about this more. Let's go to any truth to the White Sox rumors.
Oh, what rumor must you be talking about?
Cheating. Can you believe it? Against which team, may you add? What team?
I think it was the Astros you were talking about, right? Against the White Sox?
Against the White Sox.
Wait. That can't be true. The Astros are the nicest team in the world.
Aren't they? I mean, God. Oh, you know, when I think of them, I just want to, like, rack a trash can. I just want to, like, just take a bat and rack at it. But I'm just going to say this. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. Okay? I want to be as real as possible. I can't stand the Astros. I'm just going to be real with you. And again, this is no personal grudge. Well, technically, as a fan, it's a personal grudge. But as a baseball person, it's not a personal grudge for you. For me. It's more of, you know, I'm tired of seeing the same teams making it every year. I hate seeing the same teams win every year. And that gets on my nerves after a while. You know, I'm happy the Astros finally got a World Series after so long. Even if it is an asterisk. But the point of the matter is, this is their 5th ALCS in a row. Just like, and again, you know how much I love Tom Brady. You know how much I love the Buccaneers.
I was just about to say.
Because I'm about to make this.
That's why I was just about to tell you. You're saying all this, and then but you're okay with Tom Brady.
I'm going to make this connection.
You want him to win an MVP again, but you do not want the Astros to be again. Brian, stop contradicting yourself.
Let me clarify before our listeners think I'm a bad person.
Okay.
So let me make this very clear. When Tom Brady was in New England, I want to make sure everybody understands. I wasn't huge on him. And the reason why I wasn't huge, like I understand how good he was. I understood he was going to be a Hall of Famer, that he's the best quarterback of all time. My problem was every single year he was fighting for a Super Bowl. And he was always in the Final Four for that, the Final Four teams. And it drove me crazy because I was always questioning, why can't it be somebody else?
But
why
you
can't
were okay
another
with
team
him
be that
winning
good?
last year? You okay with that?
When was the last time the Buccaneers won a Super Bowl?
2002.
When was the last time they were in a playoff?
Lord knows, you guys are never in the playoffs until last year.
2007. His first season, he rebuilds the team, and look at that. We're in the Super Bowl, and we just won at home against Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, I don't want to get personal. I don't want you to take this personal. But I'm just saying, it's different when it's a different team. I'm not talking about the player getting tired of seeing the same player there. I'm talking about I'm getting tired of seeing the same teams. And there's a difference between teams and players. I'm tired of seeing the Astros every single year in the ALCS. It annoys me. Just like it, actually, to be honest, I get annoyed too when the Dodgers are in it every year. I get annoyed a lot. Because I think the National League is so much better than just the Dodgers. It's so much better.
Okay.
And they just don't get the representation. So I get a little stressed out about that too. You know, Houston and LA in the final. They're always in the Final Four. And I'm asking myself, why can't it be somebody else? Like, honestly, as much as I can't stand LA or San Francisco, I would much prefer San Francisco to win this series just so we have somebody different.
Yeah.
Just we have a different matchup. You know, I'd love to see the Giants versus the Braves competing for a World Series. To go to the World Series.
Yep.
That is a good game. That is a good series. I would go for that any day of the week.
All right. So, final predictions. World Series matchup. Who is it?
I mean, I don't know how to put this. I'm going to go with the underdog matchup because I'm an underdog person. I support the underdogs 100% of the time. Here we go. My selection, I'm going with the Boston Red Sox are going to knock off the Astros.
Yep.
In an amazing situation here. And the Boston Red Sox are going to face the Braves. It's going to be Red Sox, Braves, World Series. That's what I want. And I think the Braves take it in 7. Braves win their first World Series in a long time.
I'm putting Braves to win all the way, and I just want them to beat Boston. So, beat Boston Braves. Let's do it.
I agree. And for that, we are finished here, people. This has been Bleacher Banter. Thank you, Bleacher Creatures, for sticking around with us as we bring you our very first episode here, sponsored by Terrier TV. honestly, I couldn't have been more excited about this episode, and I'm very happy with how it came out.
Me too. I think we discussed such great points, and I think what we're discussing, and it's just going to get better from this. So if you guys have anything you would like us to discuss, leave a comment below. Make sure you share this podcast to your friends. Make sure you're listening. You check us out on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you.
And that's going to do it for us here. I'm Brian Mansell.
I'm Katarina Cordero.
And this has been Bleacher Banter. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everyone.